Hello, Vanguard community. Today is Thursday, July the 23rd, and this is Doing Things Differently and Learning Something New. I'm Jennifer Methvin, the Chancellor at Arkansas State University, Beebe, and I must apologize to those of you who have been following this series. It has been about 3 weeks since we have recorded our weekly series, but we're going to be back at it now. We might even double up on a couple of weeks. We have fully made the transition from recovering from spring, completing our students in our programs, and we are full-blown in preparation for fall. And yet the pandemic continues, and so there's much to talk about what we're learning and how we're doing things differently. And it's my joy to have with me today Catherine Burton. She's the director of our Advising and Learning Center. Catherine, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
So as you said, my name is Catherine Burton. I am Director of Advising and Learning. I have worked here for 2 years in this position, but I've been at ASU-Beebe a lot longer than that. I started as a student ambassador several years ago and worked in financial aid, admissions, just kind of made a full circle. So I actually supervise the Advising and Learning Centers on the Beebe, Heber Springs, and Searcy campuses. And those include study areas, computer labs, advising for all the new students, and tutoring services for all students, all ASU-Beebe students.
Awesome. Well, Catherine, we'll just jump right in to the questions if you're ready. Your area is one of the areas that we have asked to remain open this entire time. So even while folks were working remotely, we needed to give students access to tutoring and advising, but particularly to the computers so that they could access our remote services. So just talk a little bit about how your area of the college has operated differently since the pandemic began.
So as far as advising, our processes were still fairly new. Advising has only been in our office for a couple of years now. Essentially, that process of how to schedule an appointment and meet with an advisor didn't change a whole lot, other than the fact that you don't get to meet face-to-face right now. New students are sent an appointment link to schedule an appointment. That stayed the same. And now, instead of coming into the office to complete a paper intake form and sit down and create a class schedule with an advisor, they are sending an email to the student. The advisor sends an email to the student where you can complete the intake form online, submit that online. The advisors have access to it. And then they send a Zoom link. And you sit down and meet with an advisor just like what we're doing now. They can share screens so you can see the degree plans, you can see actually what the advisor is doing on your account, and actually get to talk to someone and not just a phone call. So still 1 hour structured appointments, that stays the same. The process hasn't changed much. I think there's a little more follow-up now with students having a little more questions. They have that email that they can go back to and they can refer back to the advisor that they've talked to. So we've tried to add in that extra component of having a contact before school starts that you can go back to if you need to. Some students have changed to online, some students have changed their schedule in the past couple months, so they have that ability. That part didn't change a whole lot other than not being able to do it in the office. Tutoring changed quite a bit. We had just rolled out a new online tutoring lab in Canvas, trying to cater a little more to our online students and students with more hectic work schedules. And that is, if you are having trouble with a concept in class, you really want to sit down next to somebody and get help for that. That's not really been a possibility. So we've been using Zoom tutoring appointment links, being able to share your screen and teach. And the group that we have tutored here for several years now, and they were up for the challenge. They've come up with a lot of different ways to do this and to help the students, and they were on board immediately. However we can help, we will do it. So that part has changed drastically. I hope we can improve that more in the fall. We've got a few new plans going in place.
Yeah, I think I've shared this story with you, but early on in remote instruction, I went into one of our local business establishments that's very good about hiring our students. And I was in search of wipes for my home, germ wipes. And so I was checking in the non-traditional places. But anyway, the student who checked me out and another person there in the store who was our student were having a discussion about total panic about what if they could not get to their tutor. And I think this was tutor for one of our harder math classes. And so as she checked me out, I said, guys, we're working on it. You're going to be able to get your tutoring. You're not going to be able just to walk in there, but you're going to be able to get your tutoring. I assure you, we're going to get you guys through this. And I've since circled with one of them, and they said, "Yeah, we got through." They still want to lose that tutor. They didn't want to lose that tutor. And that's important. Well, very good. Well, do you think, Catherine, that as far as our Advising and Learning Center is concerned, that we're learning anything that might make us better as we serve students into the future, if and when we ever get back to normal times, whatever that is?
I don't know if we'll ever get back to what we were as normal. Maybe a better normal. We'll see. Maybe a stronger normal. So I think what we've learned is the policies and processes that we had in place for several years, the way we've always done things, those were the harder processes to change to remote. The newer processes that we've done, like with advising being new, the newer things cater more to being able to assist more students in as many ways as possible. Those were the easier processes to switch. So I think what our office learned, and I'm sure we're not the only ones, assessment is a huge piece here, because if you are not paying attention to what your office is doing and how you're helping students and being current, focusing on the students with crazy work schedules and crazy work hours, family life, all the things they have to deal with, if you're not already catering to that, then it makes the process a little harder to flip to remote or online. One of the things that we started a year or so ago, and we've really been tracking, are study groups. And these are, instead of one-on-one tutoring, bringing in students more of a supplemental instruction model, having them, really leading up to having them teach themselves and each other. That's going to be a huge part of what we're going to do in the fall, because it can be done safer than one-on-one tutoring all day. So that's one of those things that we were already in the process of restructuring, and it's going to be the better option as we move forward. We're already seeing great success rates out of it in the past 2 semesters, so not a fear of making that a bigger piece. But assessment of what we're doing, that was a big learning curve there. Of you think you can just flip things, but the newer processes and things you've already restructured and rebuilt are really catering to students a lot easier in this mode, in this time.
Oh, great. That's good perspective. I might need to think about that across the college. Very good. Well, Catherine, we're also human beings ourselves with our own lives and our own families, and this current health crisis has been difficult for us all personally as well. So talk about some of the challenges that you have faced in your life.
So the biggest challenge for me right now is work related. It's not being able to see my team, my coworkers. I don't think any of us ever thought we would miss meetings. It's a very big deal right now. Our office, and I think this is the same for the Beebe campus and Heber and Searcy as well, we constantly have students in this computer lab in the study area. You get regulars that you see quite frequently. Between the 3 campuses, we probably have 15 or 17 employees between full-time, part-time, and student peer tutors. And it's hard to stop mid-semester and just not see that team anymore. We missed a lot of birthdays. We do cupcakes and sing to each other. We focus a lot around food. Not around the computers, but we focus around food. But that was difficult. I think right before December, we had one student that had spent so much time with us for biology that she brought us a cake that across the top said, "Thank you for putting up with me." And she was, graduating, had done great in the class, and it was a really sweet story. you don't necessarily get that with being remote. So that part was tough. A personal law, it's kind of the same thing. We've all kept our distance. You know, my sister has young children. Um, my husband's parents, we've got some health issues there that we've had to be very careful of. It's been about 4 months. We finally got to see my mother-in-law yesterday and had to stay 6 feet apart and couldn't hug. That's really tough. So the human contact aspect of it has probably been the roughest part. I'm ready for that to be safe again.
Yes, I'll agree. I'll agree. Well, all right, we're to that point. I always say it's only fair you get to ask me a question since I'm asking all these questions. So what's your question of me?
So for an advising and onboarding standpoint, this fall is really a continuation of the struggle for our high school students. Their senior year was flipped upside down. They didn't get graduation, prom. They're having to improvise and do small groups and things like that. And now their first year of college looks completely different. Orientation, all of that's going to look completely different for them. So my question is, what advice would you have for our first-time entering students as they get ready to join the Vanguard community and be a part of it?
Yeah, okay. Well, I have a great niece who was a senior this year and have followed closely her thinking through what she was going to do and where she was going to go and how she feels about all this. And so, you know, I think what I would say to our incoming freshmen is that we know, as you said, that your world has been turned upside down and things are not quite going to be as you anticipated. And it's scary. And we're kind of, you know, it's scary for all of us. But if we can take a deep breath, and I heard someone say the other day, you know, we have managed to figure out how to make our Walmart runs and figure out how to get our groceries and those sorts of things. And so if we can just take a deep breath and keep those things in mind that keep us safe, then we're in control. We have a little bit of control. So as you well know, we have basically 6 course formats to meet varying levels. Not every program can do every course format, but many courses you can do in several different formats. And so thinking through what makes you comfortable and thinking through your learning style and how you learn best. One of the things students told us in the spring is they really missed routine class. When we went remote, if their course went remote and didn't keep a time schedule, and you could just log on and do your work anytime, that was more disconcerting to them than if they had a Zoom time or some sort of keeping of a routine up. So knowing that about yourself and sort of figuring that out and taking advantage of our advising and learning center and those folks to help you figure that out, or attending one of our open registrations. We have one today, and sitting and talking with the folks who will help you there, faculty and various folks who will help you there, and figuring out what is the best fit for your learning style, but also for your comfort. You know, if you have health issues, we have options where you don't have to come on campus, and want to make that possible. So just take a deep breath. We can be in control of this. We can talk it through, figure out the best options for you. And that's what we're here to do and want to help you do. And so I think that's what I would say to those seniors, because I just can't imagine. This is a group, they've talked about this, or my great niece has talked about this many times, who feel like that they were born into a world of chaos, and a couple of milestones throughout their high school or throughout their lives have been what we would consider some of the major historical events over the last 18 years. And so this is another one. So I would also say, I would tell them, I'm also optimistic about you because you're going to be some of the best problem solvers, I bet you. and we've got a few things to solve in our world. So let's just take a deep breath, look at our options, figure out your learning style, figure out what you need as a level of comfort and instruction, and let's make a plan and let's work the plan. That's what I would tell them. Yeah, good. Well, Catherine, I think I always like to end these conversations, and this has been a very, very good conversation, with asking what you think the silver linings are in this. Again, I've tried to emphasize, let's learn something. We're doing this. We got to do this no matter what. Let's learn something. Let's learn how to do things better. Let's come out on the other side better serving our students. What's the silver lining in all this for you?
So I'm big silver linings person. I have trouble getting through a situation if I can't find a positive in it. So I could give you a whole list of things that I have tried to focus on so far, but I think probably my favorite is still right now maybe a little under the radar. The students that we have right now that are starting are going to have life skills that they may not have picked up out of the textbook. They are having to face things, and they're going to face things over the next year, maybe 2 years, that not every college student gets. Time management skills. High school freshmen, the first thing we would do with advising is explain course scheduling and how it's different from what you've done for the past several years. And you have to explain why on your schedule Tuesday, Thursday is TR, and why is Thursday an R. And now there's a Z. And we have to figure out, why is there a Z on my schedule? What building is that? So there's another aspect to it. And then once that actually hits reality in August, they have to be able to put that schedule together and know and remember what day they're going to class and what day they have to do Zoom. So time management skills, emotional intelligence. Anxiety and depression is already high in college students. We know that already. And I think we're all facing that a little bit right now. There are people that have never thought about or had to face depression, and they're sitting at home thinking, I don't feel right. This is not my norm, and they're really having to pull themselves together to go to work every day. So I think they're learning how to deal with their own emotions, or they're going to learn how to deal with their own emotions and others. I hope we can all pull it together as faculty and staff and be a great example for them, but we're going to have days where it's rough too. So these students are going to learn more. When they walk across that stage at graduation and walk into an interview, they can actually say with confidence, I have done something successful. I have dedicated myself to something. When all of my classes were switched to online, I dug in and really succeeded. I passed that class. One of my favorite quotes, and you've probably seen this before because I had written some things out recently. No one would have ever crossed the ocean if he could have gotten off the ship in the storm. And I think, what we've all heard so far, we're in this together. It's kind of a nice way of saying we're stuck in this right now. We have no choices, and we're all gonna make it through. So I think that kind of speaks volumes to where we are right now and how different things will look when we look back at this later. And I think the skill sets that our students are getting, I think my college experience, the hardest thing I had to do was group work and hope that everybody actually showed up to the library and wrote their papers together. That's a little bit different than how do I make 6 different class formats work. So they're learning things right now that are going to benefit them for years. And I think that is a huge bonus here.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great silver lining. Well, Catherine, as always, it's been a great conversation with you. Thank you for joining me today. And thank you for everyone who's following the series. We sincerely appreciate that. This is research for me. This is me trying to capture what's going on and learning from it. So as I've said many times, if nobody's watching, I'm really kind of okay with that. But if you are watching, I just do want to remind you what we're being asked to do so that we can move forward together. It's pretty simple. It's just really four things. Wear that cloth mask when you're out in public. Keep that social distance. Stay out of people's airspace. 6 feet. The science supports that, right? If you don't feel well, my goodness, please stay at home, contact your healthcare professional, find out what's going on, and let's be super hyper aware about hygiene, particularly our hand hygiene. Those hands need to be clean when you take that mask off, right? Those hands need to be cleaned after you take that mask off. We can do this, guys. We can do this. And we look forward to the many days ahead and what we will learn together as we do things differently. Thanks for joining us.